In this video, you will learn how to create major scales. The major scale is also known as the Ionian mode. Great, so this video is actually going to help us find and create major scales. Very important, as so many thousands of melodies are actually based on the major scale. So in the key of C, which we know is directly to the left of two black notes, that's C, that's another C. I can play the C major scale, but the thing about that is that's not the only place where we can start a major scale. I can start it on B, which is just before C, as we learned previously, and I can play B major scale. So the question is, how do we know where we should play and what notes we should actually use to combine? I can play A, look at this. There you go, I can play A major scale. I can play G major scale. There you go. Awesome, so we've done all of these different scales. We've done C major, we've done B, we've done A major. The question is, how do we know what combination of black notes and white notes that we should use? Well, the answer is quite simple. There is a formula or a pattern that is repeated for every major scale, and that determines what combination of white notes and black notes you use. Now when you're dealing with C major, it's all white notes. It's the only key that has all white notes. And what happens is, as soon as you start playing other keys, to maintain the same major scale, you notice you have to combine black and white. In this case, in D major, we played F sharp, and we also played C sharp. So here's the formula. We're going to use C major because it's easy to use, because the black notes help to guide us. The shortest distance on the keyboard is a half step. And so if I went from C to C sharp, that's a movement or distance of a half step. But if I went from C straight to D, we have a whole step, because we have one half from C to C sharp, and then another half from C sharp to D. So we can say that a whole step is moving from one key to the next, skipping one note. So here we move from C to D, and we've skipped C sharp. That's the one note that we've skipped. So a whole step is from one key to the next, skipping one note. A half step, we skip no notes whatsoever. So from B to C is also a half step, because there aren't any notes in between. So here's the formula for the major scale. It is two whole steps. As you can see here, two notes are being skipped. If we go C to D, that's one whole step, because we've skipped C sharp. Then if you go from D to E, that's another whole step, because we've skipped D sharp. So one whole step, two whole steps. And you'd notice we counted the second one starting where we landed. That's very important. If you go from C to D, that's one whole step. The second one, you must start where you ended the last. So C to D is one whole step, we've skipped one note. D to E is a second whole step, and we skipped the second note going up the scale. So we're formulating the C major scale. So what we have is two whole steps. That's the first part of it. Then we come to one half step. You notice from E to F, that's a half step, because we haven't skipped any notes. Okay? So far we have two whole steps and then one half step. So C to D, D to E, that's 2 whole steps. We've skipped C sharp and D sharp. Now going from E to F, that's 1/2 step. We haven't skipped any notes. Then the pattern continues, but this time we want to make 3 whole steps. And these 3 black keys make it easy to see the 3 notes that you're skipping. F to G, that's 1 whole step. G to A, that's another whole step. We've skipped the G sharp there. And then from A to B, that's the 3rd whole step in the second half of the major scale pattern. So far we've got 2 whole steps, 1/2 step, 3 whole steps, skipping F sharp, G sharp, and A sharp, and then we end finally with 1/2 step at the top here. And we have completed the C major scale. So the entire pattern is 2 whole steps, 1/2 step, 3 whole steps, then 1/2 step. So the easy way to say it, personally, I usually say 2.5, 3.5. That's the major scale pattern. As simple as that. 2.5, 3.5. 2 whole steps, 1/2 step. 3 whole steps, 1/2 step. Now, believe it or not, that is the precise formula that is used to create all the major scales. So you can start a major scale on any note, whether black or white. Okay, let me show you how it works. Previously we played D major scale, and as you can see we're utilizing the F sharp and the C sharp. Okay, if I don't play those 2 black notes, it won't sound like a major scale. Listen to this. Straight away you can hear the difference. So let's use our little formula. We said 2 whole steps, 1/2 step, and then 3 whole steps, 1/2 step. 2.5, 3.5. So let's try it out. What's a whole step? We must skip 1 note from 1 key to the next. So from D, where do we go to make a whole step? That's right, we have to land on E. So that would mean we've skipped D sharp. Because to make a whole step, we have to skip 1/2. Because to make a whole step, we have to skip 1 note. So from D to E, that's 1 whole step. Then we must start the next one where we ended the last. So the second whole step in the pattern must start on E. So if we wanted to make a whole step going up from E, where would we land? Okay, I hope you said F sharp, because we have to skip 1 note. Here we're skipping F. From E to F sharp, that's a whole step, because you can see F in the middle there. So from D to E, that's 1 whole step, we skipped D sharp. And from E to F sharp is the second whole step in the pattern, where you skipped F. That's how we are able to play. That's why we must play that F sharp to maintain the pattern. Now, continuing the formula, we now need 3 whole steps and then a half. So this was 2, now we need a half and then 3.5. So let's first get that half and then the 3 and then the half. So when we get to F sharp, the half step means we do not skip any notes. So what would that take us to? Hope you said G. So that's where it lands. Once we go from F sharp up a half step, we can only go as far as G. There aren't any notes in between. So now we have 1 whole step here, second whole step there, and then the half. So that's the first part of that scale. So to complete the D major scale, we now need 3 whole steps and then a half. Let's count from where we started, or where we landed. From G to A will be the first of the 3. We've skipped G sharp. From A, you must start where you landed. So from A to B, That's the second whole step where we skipped A sharp. And then from B, where should we go to make a whole step? I hope you said C sharp. Right, so there you go. That's the third whole step. We've skipped C. You can see C there in the middle. And then we end with a half step from C sharp to D. Okay, so D, E, F sharp, that's one whole step, two whole steps, then we need a half. We can't go here because it was sung off, totally off. So half step, and then we need the three whole steps, 1, 2, 3, and then a half. So you see how we created that? Two whole steps, then a half. 1, 2, 3 whole steps, and then a half. As simple as that. And this works anywhere on the keyboard. Okay, great. So now let's look at a major scale, but this time starting on a black note. Let's take B flat. Or we can also call it A sharp, but for simplicity we'll just say B flat for now. So we'll only be dealing with the two black notes and we call them flats. B flat major scale sounds like this. Okay. Alright. Now what you've noticed is that we also have a combination of black and white notes. Once again, it follows the same formula or pattern, and it works just the same. Now from B flat we must go up 2 whole steps, then a half step, then 3 whole steps, then a half. Let's go through the whole process. So we need 2 whole steps. The first one, from B flat, where would we land if we need to create a whole step? Well, certainly we can't go to B because we haven't skipped any notes moving from B flat to B. We have to skip, that's it, 1 note. So from B flat to C, that's your first whole step. We've skipped 1 note, which is B. Now we want the second whole step. To create the second whole step, we must skip 1 note. We must also start the second one where we landed the first. So if we landed from B flat to C, that was the first whole step, second one will start on C. So from C to D, that's the second whole step. Because we've skipped C sharp. I'm sure you can see that. So the first whole step, B flat to C, second whole step from C to D. You would have remembered that going through the C major scale. Then what happens next? We must have a half step after the first 2 whole steps. So from D, where would we go to create a half step? That's right, we must go to the very next note without skipping any. So that would land us at, we can call it D sharp, but for the purpose of the B flat major scale, we have to say everything in flats because we're dealing with flats. So we'd call it E flat. E flat. Okay? So we've created 2 whole steps, one from B flat to C, second one from C to D, and then the half step from D to E flat. Alright? 1, 2, and a half. Now we need 3 whole steps. So we skip 1 note for the first one. That would land us on F because we've skipped E. From E flat to F, that's the first of the group of 3. From F to G, skipping F sharp, from F to G, that will be the second of a group of 3 whole steps. And then the last one from G, starting where we ended again, to A. And that would create the third whole step. So first in the group of 3, from E flat to F, that's 1. From F to G, that's 2. From G to A, that's 3. So from B flat to F, that's 1. From F to G, that's 2. And from G to A, that's 3. Then finally we need a half step to end it all off. From A to A sharp, but we call it B flat because we're in the key of B flat. From A to B flat, that will be the last part of the formula, a half step. So let's go through, let's just recap again. 1 whole step, 2 whole steps, then the half. We don't skip any notes. So 2 whole steps and a half. Then we need 3 whole steps and a half. 1, 2, 3, and then the half step. A half step goes from one note to the next without skipping any. A whole step goes from one note to the next, skipping one note. Okay, that should be quite clear. Now check out our Designer Pianist training suite. Just click the link below.